I was just listening to a podcast last night. They're making a movie of, of the book, The Coddling of the American Mind, which is a fantastic book. And listening to the guy who directed the movie, I've read the book and I'm really excited for the movie because I think the premises are fantastic for our generation of parenting because we don't even realize what we're doing. So a lot of this was about the idea of keeping our children too safe and not the physical safety, not safety, like not risk taking or, letting them go off in the neighborhood to play by themselves or things like that, but the emotional safety, really keeping them too emotionally coddled. And of course, when I say these things, and I think you guys know me well enough, when I say emotionally safe, I mean, when I say we're doing too much to keep them emotionally safe, I don't mean in the abusive kind of not safe, right? Like we do keep our kids emotionally safe, age appropriate reading materials and viewing on television, but we are keeping them too emotionally safe by coddling their emotions and making the world softer around them and keeping them in a bubble of sorts, right? So maybe bubble parenting, right? But we're clearing everything. Again, that snowplow, we're clearing a path so that they're not scathed by anything. The problem is they're always going to be scathed or they're going to be rendered impossible. They're going to be rendered incompetent. And what we're finding right now is we're finding college students who are on the verge of a mental breakdown because they've been kept too emotionally safe and their mind is being like triggered, activated, on fire because they think they shouldn't have any adverse reactions to anything. They believe their emotional state should be of always one of happiness and well-being. And if it's not, then it's like a physical danger to them. They feel like it's a physical danger. And that's kind of wacky. And so when we start looking at, like depression and anxiety in kids. And again, I can't believe that suicide is coming up on the number one cause of death for 9 to 15-year-olds. This is insane. So even though it's not my kid, and even though it may not be your kid and your kids are little, so we don't necessarily have to think of it so concretely for your kids, but this is coming up for them, right? And so I've grown so fascinated with this subject and I'm going down many, many different paths and rabbit holes because everybody's blaming it on social media. And I do think social media has something. I think social media has its part for sure. And like I've discussed before, I think a lot of it is academic pressure, but I also think that there's a way social media is affecting it in a more nefarious way than we think. I don't think it's just like, oh, I see my friends doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses. I think it's real easy to get sucked into an echo chamber. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I know when I'm on Instagram, they've like changed the algorithm. So if you even pause on a video, it just almost immediately shows you more of the same, which is odd because sometimes I pause to like be like, what the hell is this person? This person's nuts. Like, I don't want more of that shit, right? And so it just is, these are algorithms that are keeping us all in echo chambers. So and we have to be aware of that with our kids because these echo chambers can make them feel like the world is like scarier than it is, or that people are, meaner than they are, or things that people say are more detrimental or more hurtful than the person actually means. It's a spooky kind of place right now. Anyway, I digress because part of that is this: when kids don't have autonomy, when they don't experience adversity and get over it. And thus far on this podcast, I think we've spent a lot of time talking about the physical risk taking, right? Because that's what I see in toddlers is this abnormal safety of not letting kids play and, get hurt and realize like, oh, that got me hurt. Okay, I'm not going to do that. But the same goes for our mental state. And if we want to raise a mentally strong generation, we have to expose them to some of those things. But more importantly, we have to give them I don't even think it's giving them the tools except staying out of their way, right? Like even with this mama and the little one peeing is like, she did the right thing. She offered. The kid said no. The kid said no. The kid said no. Did the kid lose 2 hours to being uncomfortable? 100%. Maybe next time she'll pee the first time, right? And so that kid probably learned a lesson then if the mom had forced it right away or forced it and gotten a power struggle right away, right? So a lot of these autonomous things, we eliminate some power struggle because we're like, it's on you, dude. You've got a body, you can take care of your body, but we're also giving them that message, right? Like you can take care of yourself. And when kids learn that way, the lesson goes in. Otherwise, you're doing a surface level lesson that they're never going to get. They're never going to own as their own. And I see this a lot in parenting. Like I'd say the biggest thing is I don't understand. He's a big kid. I don't understand. He can do this or, he never, wants to help around the house. He never wants to pick up his toys or she doesn't want to, initiate going to the potty. And then these kids are still in cribs, right? That's insane. You can't expect a kid to be like acting like a big kid when you're keeping them in a crib. Right? So I think we have these paradoxes going on in our parenting.